Tonight, I'm going to do some soft speaking. I will be telling you a little story, a guided fantasy to help you fall asleep, help you relax, help you get in the cozy, spooky season. Okay, so feel free to watch or actively listen or just close your eyes and have me on in the background. Okay, so let's go. This is called Cinnamon Walk. You step out the door and it latches shut with a clink. It's a dark and breezy night. You step out into your long driveway and begin the walk to your neighbor's house. You carry a small shoulder bag and a kerosene lantern that doesn't shine as far as you hoped it would. You wouldn't normally go out after dark, especially on a moonless October night. But tomorrow morning, you plan to make cinnamon rolls, and just tonight discovered that you are out of cinnamon. Being the night owl that you are, you decided to beg some cinnamon from a neighbor tonight rather than do it first thing in the morning. Your nearest neighbor is a 10-minute walk away. As you leave the openness of your front yard and approach the entrance to the woods, you are struck by just how dark they seem. Your lantern barely illuminates the tunnel-like entrance of entangled branches. Your lantern does not at all illuminate beyond the entrance to the tree-lined path, so it feels like you are approaching a solid black wall. You won't let this stop you. You turn up the wick on your lantern, gaining just a little more of its warm glow. You remind yourself that this isn't far. Your nearest neighbor is only 10 minutes away. But you aren't going to your nearest neighbor. You walk this path every day, but this is the first time that you can remember starting your journey fully after dark. The crisp wind blusters and calms at random. The leaves rustle loudly, and a wind chime sings its haunting tones in the distance. These are not the sounds you are used to. Buzzing bees, bird songs, and the laughter of your daily companions. The view you're used to is distorted by the heavy blanket of night. Though you've walked this path hundreds of times, you're a little bit nervous. It feels unfamiliar. Yes, you passed your mailbox. Farther down the path, yes, you passed the stump you like to rest on. And farther down still is the tree root that sticks up that you take care not to trip on. These things all tell you that this is where you walk every day. But still the feeling nags at you. This is unfamiliar. Something brushes against your leg, and you look down with a gasp. The very familiar local orange tabby cat greets you before rubbing on you again. "Oh, Snickerdoodle, you surprised me," you say with a chuckle. You give her some pets on the head and invite her to join you as you walk. She walks alongside you happily, chirping once in a while to remind you to pet her. You continue for a ways through intermittent gusts and a few sparse raindrops that never seem to gain momentum. After a short time, the wind seems to calm, and the company of your companion has greatly eased your mind. Now, the sound of the blustery wind doesn't overtake your senses, and you feel some relief at the quiet. It almost seems familiar again, with the usual sound of your own footsteps on the gravel path. It rained recently, and the sound of your footsteps has an extra crispness that isn't present in the summer months. Despite the wind stopping, you still feel a certain coldness in the air. Soon, any leaves that still cling to their branches will be dropped as the trees prepare for months of long nights and short days. With this in mind, as you run your hand down Snickerdoodle's back, you notice how dense her fur is. Her summer coat is gone, and she is ready for the cold. Even a cat with no conscious thoughts of the seasons is prepared for the cold weather. Surely you, with your human brain, could have prepared for the weather by checking your spice cabinet and restocking before you were forced to. You glance up and see patches of stars in the night sky. Your view is constrained by trees on either side of the path. Though the wind is calm here, you can see that it's still very windy up high as clouds quickly drift through the sky, constantly changing which patch of starry sky is visible to you. You reach for the knob on your lantern to lower the brightness as to see the stars a little bit better. But before you do, Snickerdoodle suddenly stops as you continue a few more steps. You look at the cat and hold your hand out to her, but she doesn't come any closer. Then you realize where you are. You've entered the section of path on your neighbor's land. You've never had a problem with this neighbor. Anytime you've seen them, they've been very pleasant. Even before they moved here, you've always felt uneasy about being on this property. As a kid, you heard stories or urban legends about this area, about ghosts and other strange happenings. Those were surely all made-up stories. You've never specifically seen anything. But then again, you've only been out here in the comfort of the daytime. You tell Snickerdoodle to wait for you and that you'll be back soon. You turn back toward the path ahead of you and decide to get past this section quickly. You start to lightly jog. The quickened pace lets you not focus too much on what could be behind each tree. It's not like you can even see many trees anyway, as your lantern only lights enough of your surroundings so that you can be certain that you are not in an endless black void. Your lantern sways side to side as your steadiness is thrown off by your bag bouncing off your side as you make your way down the path. You start to think, this isn't so bad. You're almost to the next neighbor's property line already. The uneasy feeling you had after leaving Snickerdoodle is mostly behind you now. And now, the tree that marks the next neighbor's property line comes into the glow of your lantern. You pass the tree and slow your pace to a brisk walk. The wind starts to pick up again in short gusts, punctuated by intermittent, longer blows that whistle through the trees. But you aren't too bothered by this, because around a bend in the path, the incandescent glow of your neighbor's kitchen light comes into view. You quicken your pace again, but not out of fear, but more of a desire to finish strong. You're out of the trees as the driveway passes through the meadow-like front yard and approaches the aging farmhouse. You see more than one light on in the house. Good. People are awake, and you aren't disturbing them in bed. You climb the steps, set your lantern down, and then open the well-worn screen door and knock firmly, but in a friendly pattern. After a few moments, the door opens slowly at first, and then swings open after realizing that it's you at the door. After confirming it's not an emergency that brings you here tonight, they breathe a sigh of relief and invite you in to examine their spice cabinet. As you enter, you feel the warm air surround you, and a wave of contentment washes over you. On your way to the kitchen, you see the source of the warmth. A fire burns brightly in the fireplace. A cat sleeps curled up on the rocking chair near the fire, unbothered and unaware of your presence. You arrive at the kitchen and are shown to the spice cabinet. As the small door is unlatched and opened, a wave of scents flows free. Some of these are familiar and some are new. After some gentle rummaging in the cabinet, with some clinks of glass and crinkles of bags, the cinnamon is found. Instead of just giving you a teaspoon or two of the warm spice, your neighbor insists you take the whole bottle, but only, of course, if you bring a cinnamon roll over in the morning. You happily agree. You put the spice in your bag and start back toward the door. Your neighbor asks if they can drive you back home. You insist that you'll be fine. They just about beg you to let them drive you back, citing the cold and general worry. You insist that you'll be fine. No one really lives out here anyway to bother you. Your neighbor, almost embarrassed, admits that it's not the living that worries them. You brush it off as if you didn't have similar thoughts on your way over. You'll be fine, you say. Snickerdoodle is waiting for you, and you pick up your lantern from off the porch before hurrying back down the driveway. The air's chilliness is much more noticeable now after enjoying the warmth of the house. You re-enter the woods, keeping a good pace. The wind starts to pick up again, but it's fine. At least this time, it's familiar enough after having just been there. After a time, you decide you've gotten used to this darkened version of the path. But your neighbor's concern lingers in your head. They've been here longer than you've been alive. They're old enough that they may actually know the origins of the stories you've heard. And based on their worry, you think maybe the urban legends you've heard are indeed true. But no, you tell yourself, you're not worried, not even a little bit. But you don't believe yourself. So, to convince yourself, you slow down to a regular walking pace. See, it's fine. The intermittent gusts of wind are fine. This is just weather. This is autumn. This is just what autumn is like. Things are fine. You walk along for a ways. After a while, you do feel calm. You catch a glimpse of the sky as clouds continue to pass. The stars are bright without the moon there to overpower them. You let yourself look up as you walk. You decide to dim the lantern, so you retract the wick. It's very dim now. You've set the wick to the minimum length that it can be to continue burning. Your eyes start to adjust to the starlight. The trees are thick on either side, but the branches don't enclose the space above you. The lantern doesn't light your path, but you can follow the strip of sky that the gap in the branches lets you see. You enjoy seeing the stars and the ever-changing clouds. The wind still gusts, but the calm periods are growing longer. You wonder about the stars and of the universe as you take in the celestial beauty. You've made it quite far on the path, and you've lost track of time while you think about the cosmos. You realize you are about to enter back into the eerie stretch of your journey, so you reach to brighten your lantern, but there's no glow coming from the wick. You got distracted with the stars for too long and let the flame go out. It's fine, you tell yourself. Your hands are slightly trembling as you pull a small matchbox from your pocket. You raise the glass globe of the lantern and slide the matchbox open. One match is inside. You knew you were low on matches, but didn't realize that you were this low. You kneel down with the lantern next to you and strike the match, which lights easily, emitting a tiny dot of light against the blackness of the night. As you move the match toward the wick, a gust of wind extinguishes its flame, again leaving you in darkness. Of course this would happen. Why wouldn't it? With a grumpy sigh, you pick up the lightless lantern and continue. You tell yourself that your uneasiness is just annoyance. You walk along in the dark, letting the visible strip of starry sky guide you. All else around you is blackness. Without light, you are now unable to step around mud patches and avoid rocks that are sharp even through the soles of your shoes. You press on, determined to be brave and unbothered. The strip of sky you've been using as a guide becomes more cloudy. Less and less stars are visible, being blocked by clouds that might as well be as black as the shadowed forest around you. Soon, there is no patch of starry sky to be seen. You have no visual guide. When you blink, your vision is the same blackness as when your eyes are fully open. The clouds refuse to open back up. You must walk by feel alone. You test the ground with your foot until you find the mucky edge of the path and walk just parallel to it. With no light to stimulate your eyes, your mind invents things for you to see. A wispy blue haze seems to weave between trees, a faint figure only seen in your peripheral vision. Just visual hallucinations from lack of visual input, you tell yourself. But as you go on, this phantom becomes more visible, and despite the dark being unchanged when you close your eyes, this strange specter does indeed disappear when you blink. It's nothing, you tell yourself. It's just your brain knowing you're blinking and adjusting the hallucination accordingly. You are fine, you tell yourself, but this hallucination seems to be getting closer. You begin to run. For a short while, you successfully follow the wet edge of the path. But eventually, your foot finds a slick patch and you slip, landing on your hands and knees. You start to get up, but you slip again, and the darkness disorients you. You look around, but don't see the blue haze. You don't see anything. You feel helpless. But a familiar sound comes from the darkness. A concerned meow calls to you. You follow the sweet sound of Snickerdoodle's calls, gaining speed and confidence as you go. The meows continue, and they get louder as you get closer and closer. Finally, it seems like you are right on top of the meows, and you feel Snickerdoodle rub against your leg. You feel a great relief, not only at being back in Snickerdoodle's company, but because you've also crossed the boundary out of the dread-inducing plot of land. You can already feel your heart rate slow down as you walk at a more comfortable pace. Snickerdoodle seems to beg for more attention than simple petting, so you pick her up and carry her against your chest. She nuzzles your face, tickling your cheeks, purring happily. You can't help but laugh at the tickling whiskers. A section of sky fades into view above you as the clouds shift. Things are feeling good. Soon enough, you emerge from the forest and are out in the open. It's a relief that you are no longer surrounded by pitch black. You can see a lighter shade of darkness where your front yard begins, and beyond that, the silhouette of your house. Warm light spills from the windows, welcoming you back home. You put Snickerdoodle down on the porch, open your front door, and say goodnight to her. She responds with a pointed chirp as she steps toward the open door. Okay, you say as you let her in before closing the door. The comfort of home warms you. You have a pleasant time sitting beside your own fireplace. Snickerdoodle lays in your lap as you run your hands through her thick orange fur. In this moment, life is good. You are safe. It's still blustery outside, but with the safety of home, the sound of the wind is just faint background noise. You spend the rest of the night enjoying the calm. Eventually, you crawl into your warm bed and drift off to sleep. You are safe. You are safe. You